Ananda, in the past in the Sudhamma assembly of the 33 gods this conversation arose. It is great gain to the people of Vidya that King Nimi lives a righteous life and rules righteously, observes the 8 precepts on the 14th, 15th and the 8th days of the moon, and the Brahmin householders too in the hamlets, villages and state observe the 8 precepts on the 14th, 15th and the 8th days of their waxing moon. Then Sakka the king of 33 gods addressed them, Sirs, would you like to see King Nimi? That day was the 15th day of the waxing moon, and King Nimi, having washed his hair, had observed the 8 precepts, was seated in the topmost story of his palace. Then Sakka the king of gods, as a strong man would stretch his bent arm or bend his stretched arm, disappeared from the gods of 33 and appeared in front of King Nimi and said, Great king, it is gain for you that the gods of the 33 should praise you like this. It is great gain to the people of Vidya that King Nimi lives a righteous life and rules righteously, observes the 8 precepts on the 14th, 15th and the 8th days of the waxing moon, and the Brahmin householders too in the hamlets, villages and state observe the 8 precepts on the 14th, 15th and the 8th days of the waxing moon. Great king, the gods of the 33 desire to see you. I will send you the heavenly chariot yoked to 1,000 thoroughbreds. Ascend it, great king, the heavenly chariot does not shake. King Nimi accepted in silence, and Sakka the king of gods, as a strong man would stretch his bent arm or bend his stretched arm, disappeared from the presence of King Nimi and appeared among the gods of the 33. Then Sakka the king of gods addressed the charioteer Matalai, Friend, Matalai, yoke the chariot with 1,000 thoroughbreds and approach King Nimi and say thus, Great king, this is the heavenly chariot yoked to 1,000 thoroughbreds, this is sent by Sakka the king of gods. Ascend it, great king, the heavenly chariot does not shake. The charioteer Matalai agreed and yoked the chariot with 1,000 thoroughbreds and approached King Nimi and said, Great king, this is the heavenly chariot yoked to 1,000 thoroughbreds, this is sent by Sakka the king of gods. Ascend it, great king, the heavenly chariot does not shake. Yet by which path do you want to go? Is it through where the doers of evil reap their results, or the doers of merit reap their results? Matalai, lead me along both these courses. Ananda, Matalai the charioteer led King Nimi to the assembly of the 33 gods. Sakka the king of gods, seeing King Nimi, said, Come, great king. The gods of the 33 are seated in the Sudhamma assembly praising you. It is great gain to the people of Vidya that King Nimi lives a righteous life and rules righteously, observes the 8 precepts on the 14th, 15th and the 8th days of the waxing moon, and the Brahmin householders too in the hamlets, villages and states observe the 8 precepts on the 14th, 15th and the 8th days of the waxing moon. Great king, the gods of the 33 like to see you. Take pleasure in the splendor of the gods. Useless, Sir, send me back to Mithila, there I will lead the righteous life together with the Brahmin householders in the hamlets, villages and states observing the 8 precepts on the 14th, 15th and the 8th days of the waxing moon. Ananda, then Sakka the king of gods, addressed the charioteer Matalai, Come. Good friend, Matalai, yoke the chariot with 1,000 thoroughbreds and take King Nimi back to Mithila. Matalai the charioteer agreed and yoking the chariot with 1,000 thoroughbreds took King Nimi back to Mithila. Ananda, King Nimi lived righteously, observing the 8 precepts on the 14th, 15th and the 8th days of the moon, and the Brahmin householders too in the hamlets, villages and states observed the 8 precepts on the 14th, 15th and the 8th days of the waxing moon. Then King Nimi, after the lapse of hundreds of years, thousands of years, 100,000 years, addressed his barber and said, Good friend, barber, if you see a grey hair on my head, tell me. The barber agreed. After a very long time, after many 100,000 years, the barber noticed a grey hair on King Nimi's head and said, Me lord, there is a grey hair evident. Then, good friend, barber, carefully pick that grey hair with a forceps and place it on my palm. The barber agreed, and carefully picking the grey hair with a forceps placed it in King Nemi's palm. Then King Nemi, offering a village as a gift to the barber, addressed his eldest son. "Dear son, the messengers have appeared to me. There are grey hairs on my head. I have finished enjoying human sensual pleasures, now it's time to search heavenly sensual pleasures. Come, dear prince, rule the country. I will shave head and beard, don yellow clothes and go forth homeless. Dear prince, when you too notice a grey hair on your head, gift a village to the barber, hand over the rulership of the country to your eldest son, advising him to rule the country righteously. Shave head and beard, don yellow clothes and go forth homeless. See that my cycle of good does not get disturbed and disrupted. If in some way, this cycle of good is disrupted by anyone, he will be the last man in this age of great men. Dear prince, because of this, I say, follow up this cycle of good and do not be the last man to break the cycle." Then Ananda, King Nemi, giving a village as a gift to the barber, thoroughly establishing the eldest prince as the ruler, advising him to rule righteously, shaved head and beard, donned yellow clothes and went forth as a homeless in this same mango orchard. He with the thought of loving kindness pervaded one direction, the second, third, fourth, above, below and across, always, for all purposes and in all circumstances, developed the thought of loving kindness, grown great and boundless without anger and ill will, abode. With the thought of compassion, with the thought of intrinsic joy, the thought of equanimity, he pervaded one direction, the second, third, fourth, above, below and across, always, for all purposes and in all circumstances, developed the thought of equanimity, grown great and boundless without anger and ill will, abode. Ananda, King Nemi played the games of a child for 48,000 years. Was viceroy for 48,000 years, was ruler for 48,000 years. Gone forth as a homeless, led the holy life, in this same mango orchard for 48,000 years. Developing the four divine abidings after death, was born in the world of Brahma. Ananda, to King Nemi's son Kalarajanaka, did not go forth homeless, he broke that good cycle, by that he became the last man of that good cycle. Ananda, did it occur to you, King Makhadeva would have become perfect if that good cycle was broken, it should not be known in that manner. At that time I was King Makhadeva, I broke that good cycle, so that the later generation would not go on in that cycle. Ananda, that good cycle does not lead to turning away, detachment, cessation, appeasement, realization, enlightenment and extinction. It leads up to birth in the world of Brahma. Ananda, that good cycle is broken by me now. It conduces to, for certain, turning away, detachment, cessation, appeasement, realization, enlightenment and extinction. Ananda, how does that good cycle broken by me conduce to, for certain, turning away, detachment, cessation, appeasement, realization, enlightenment and extinction? It is this same noble eightfold path, such as right understanding, right thoughts, right speech, right actions, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness and right concentration. Ananda, now, that good cycle is broken by me, to conduce to, for certain, turning away, detachment, cessation, appeasement, realization, enlightenment and extinction. Ananda, I tell this, as long as you turn this cycle undisrupted, you will not be the last persons in the cycle. Ananda, when this cycle of good is disrupted during any period of great men, they would become the last men in the cycle. Ananda, because of that I tell you, do not disrupt this cycle of good and become the last men in this cycle. The Blessed One said thus, and Venerable Ananda delighted in the words of the Blessed One.